Alright, so today I'm back with another episode Nagi leak video. However, I want to preface this in the beginning that this is not for the main Blue Lock series, but instead the spin-off focusing around episode Nagi. I just wanted to make that as clear as possible, and sorry if I gave you false hope that the main leaks had dropped early. Anyway, as this is around a 48-page leak video, let's just get straight into it. Just be sure to please leave a like and a comment as well as join the Discord server, and with that out of the way, let's get into it. Also, if you want to check out the leaks for yourself, then I will put a link down in the comments where you can look at them. So we start this chapter off with seeing Reo tying his shoelaces. He then looks up the long hallway and thinks that up ahead is where Nagi definitely is. He sees Igarashi, Sakura, and Kurona, who are all in front of him, but he says that now his abilities are still not on Nagi's level, saying that even if he chose wrong, he won't continue to rely on Nagi's talent. Reo then gets up and starts walking while saying that until he can catch up and stand beside him and become the nail that supports him as a partner, until they can dream of becoming the best in the world once more, until they become a strong Reo and Nagi. Kind of weird that he's speaking in third person, but whatever. We then move from Reo and instead go over to Nagi and his team with Baru, Chijiri, Zantetsu and Kiora, who's just walked into the room. Isagi spots Nagi and Nagi just says, "Hello." Baru says that they have finally arrived and calls the other losers. Chigiri says that it's been like a million years. We then hear Bachira, who looks super happy as he sees them, and even starts waving. Ryu also looks over and says that they came after all. Isagi then finally speaks up and just says their names, while he has a kind of awkward smile. They go forward to Isagi, and Nagi asks him why he has such a relieved facial expression, and asks Isagi if he thought that they wouldn't come. Isagi is caught off guard and says that it's not like that. Baru then asks if he's looking down on them, and the goat Chigiri then asks Isagi if he really only sees them as his supporting actors. Nagi then tells Isagi straight to his face that he's not about to hang up his cleats without beating Isagi. Baru then starts to look mad as he says that he still has to kill Isagi, and that he also hasn't gotten to beat the top 3 yet. Chigiri also adds in by saying that they were simply just meant to meet again. Isagi then starts to smile and says that it's true and that they need to play again. Suddenly, the announcer starts speaking and says that the next team has now cleared the stage and asks for them to enter. We then see the third team, which consists of Karasu, Otoya, Yukimiya, Himizu, and Yuzu. Chigiri is a bit surprised to see them, while Nagi looks at them and says that he knew that they would show up and calls them the ultimate duo. After that, the next team enters, which consists of a bunch of no-names really, but also Reiji, and Baru comments that he made it through after all and calls him a stubborn guy. Meanwhile, Nagi asks who that was again, and Chigiri says that he has no idea either. Anyway, we quickly move on as the fifth team enters the room, where we spot Nico and Hiyori. Isagi also spots Nico and looks somewhat happy as he says his name. Meanwhile, Nagi looks shocked at him and says that he really climbed his way up the ranks, saying that of course the ones who get stronger do. We then hear that the sixth team is beginning to enter, and it sounds like they are all pushing each other, and then as the door opens up, Gagamaru, Raichi, and Wanima all fall on the floor. Isagi is once again happy to see his former teammates enter, and Bachira just laughs and says that they are the same as ever. Chigiri then looks serious and says that there's only one team left. Nagi says that it's true, and adds in that both Reo and Kunigami still aren't here. Suddenly, the seventh team makes its entrance. Nagi looks with wide eyes and says that they are coming while he hopes to see Reo coming out of the door. Firstly, we see both Igarashi and Kurona who enter, and trust me when I say that no one was happy to see Igarashi entering, as you should see their faces. Bachira can't even believe it. Anyway, it gets dark around Nagi as he says that if he were in a world without Reo, then he wouldn't know why he would play soccer, because he would lose sight of his purpose, telling Reo to not disappear. Which luckily turns out to be true, as Reo is the next one to enter through the door. They look at each other, and Nagi says Rio's name with a relieved tone. Meanwhile, he thinks that this is what waiting for others feels like, calling it painful and warm. Anyway, Nagi says that it's been a while to Reo. However, Reo just walks straight past him without saying one word. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? Nagi looks back in shock as he wonders why he didn't say anything. Nagi then thinks that Reo must be angry. Nagi thinks that he doesn't only want to apologize to Reo, but that he needs to, thinking that he needs to apologize for all of the things he said, and that there are tons of other things he needs to apologize for as well. Nagi then thinks back to when Reo told him that if he was going to abandon Reo, then he should just do it properly. This makes Nagi think that maybe it's just Nagi himself that wants Reo to forgive him, and that he only cares about his own feelings and pours everything out to Reo. He then starts to wonder if he will hurt Reo again while he starts to look really sad. However, what happens next changes everything. As Shidou walks out of the door and says that it's all, Isagi speaks up right away and asks where Kunigami is. The announcer then starts speaking and says that these are all the players that have cleared the third selection. Isagi then looks over to Reo and asks why Kunigami isn't with Reo. However, Reo can't even say a word as he just looks down to the floor. Isagi then starts to scream and says that Kunigami wouldn't let things end like this. Suddenly, Shidou from the side tells him that it's over and that he sent Kunigami right to hell. Nagi looks over and just questions who Shidou is. Shidou, however, continues to speak as he says that Kunigami is like a slime who couldn't even help himself level up. This makes Isagi mad as he tells him to shut up and asks him what he knows about Kunigami. Shidou then looks back and says that he doesn't give a damn, and he legit tries to throw an insane kick towards Isagi. But luckily the goat Shigiri was there and saved Isagi from probably getting permanent brain damage. After that, Ego pops up on the screen and says that it's enough. He then says that none of them have time to worry about those who dropped out. He explains that after all, their soccer careers are in danger of disappearing forever like worthless trash, along with Blue Lock. Explaining that as they speak, the big shots of Japanese soccer are trying to put the kibosh on Blue Lock, telling them all that the next selection will take place in 3 weeks, and that Blue Lock's existence will be riding on the outcome. He explains that he's talking about the U20 Japan versus the Blue Lock 11, and he tells them all that if they win this game, then they can steal the honor of representing Japan in the U20 World Cup. Nagi is completely blown away by this, while Reo thinks that Japan's national team and that there's a path that leads to winning the World Cup. Nagi then thinks that the U20 team is the place of dreams where both he and Reo want to go. Ego then continues to speak and says that the Japan U20 national team, led by Sai Itoshi versus Blue Lock 11, is in 3 weeks, explaining that, as for him, he can calmly state as a face that, as they are now, they have the ability to turn Japanese soccer on its head. Suddenly Raichi speaks up, and he tells Ego to wait a sec. He says that he gets that they're not guaranteed a spot, but he asks who will be in the Blue Lock 11. Gagamaru then adds in and asks if they have to pick midfielders and defense between them. However, Ego explains that Blue Lock is going to assemble a team focused around the following 6 players, saying that these are the top-ranked players at the moment, and that putting together a team in just 3 weeks will require a most rational gamble. He then asks the following players to come forward. He starts with their number 1 player, who is Rin. After Rin is Shidou, and at the number 3 spot is Karasu, and he even says that he knew that. After Karasu is his fellow teammate, Otoya. After him it's Yukimiya, who says that it's an honor. And lastly, for the 6th spot, it's Nagi Seishiro, which shocks him a bit. Ego then tells them that first, they will divide these 6 into pairs, assign them ranks A, B, and C, and thereby create 3 teams. Next, the remaining 29 players must decide which team they'd like to join, and then 3 people will randomly be assigned to the team that they chose to form teams of 5. After that, the completed teams will have a 5-on-5 match against each other, telling them to consider it a tryout for the right to represent Japan in the U20 World Cup match. Ryu says that they basically have 1 match to show what they got. Tokimitsu says that this seems really pro-like, and Igarashi just laughs and says that it works for him, even though we both know that he's shit. Ryo thinks that they can show off their abilities to become regulars, and then Ego is telling them to choose their teammates for this joint battle, and he then looks right at Nagi. Ego then tells the top 6 players to go ahead and to proceed to a separate room. Yukimiya then says that, to put it simply, they're evaluating the team with them as the core to decide to the formation for the upcoming U20 match. Karasu just laughs and says that it doesn't mean that they are guaranteed to be regulars either, telling everyone that if they let their guard down, then he and Otoya will steal their number 1 and 2 spot. And then I'm not sure what happens, as Karasu just elbows Otoya in the stomach, and Yukimiya says that they at least get along fine. Nagi then says that they are amazing after all, and calls them the extraordinary ninja combo. Karasu just calls him annoying. Nagi then thanks Karasu for the compliment, before he looks over to Shidou, and asks if he can ask him a question. Nagi says that Shidou was in the same team with Reo. Shidou asks him if he means the purple top knot, and Nagi asks if he's doing well, if he's becoming stronger, and if he's playing better. Shidou just tells him that who knows, and tells Nagi to ask him himself. Nagi looks a bit awkward, and says that it's harder than what it looks like, and Shidou then gives in and starts telling him a bit. Shidou looks intense as he tells Nagi that right now Reo, his everything, is destroyed and that he's changing. Nagi is shocked at first, but then he thanks Shidou. We then get over to Reo, who we can see is practicing shooting drills. He then stops and breathes for a while as he thinks back to Nagi and apologizes, saying that seeing Nagi makes Reo super happy too, but he admits that he doesn't have the confidence to face him yet. We then hear Rin asking Reo how long he's going to stay there, and Yukimiya adds in by telling them to go. Confusing enough, we then get back to Nagi, and he says that he must have been the one who destroyed Reo, thinking that he's starting to change, and that Reo is going to come back after becoming stronger, just like Rin to Asagi and Sei to Rin, and that setting the one who destroyed them as a target and as a goal, or feeling jealousy, or wanting to kill them or loan them, people want to change for it. We then get back to Reo as he looks over which team to pick as he tells Nagi in his head to wait for him while staying as a genius. Nagi then thinks that for Reo, his final goal must be Nagi, and that Nagi is what fires Reo up right now, and if that's the case, then he'll be waiting for that fire. We then once again get back to Reo, who says that if someday he can stand proudly beside Nagi and play soccer, it's kind of hard to explain what they are saying now, as they basically say it at the same time. However, Nagi says that he wants to be destroyed by Reo, while Reo says that he wants to be Nagi's light. We also get an insane looking double page here with both of them looking super cool. Then once again, they say this at the same time. They say that in this way, they are going to become a new form of relationship, and the ending text says, praying for each other and believing together, the future will be brighter. Yeah, that's basically the whole chapter. Now this video has gotten a bit long, so I think that I will save my thoughts for the actual chapter review. However, please let me know down in the comments what you thought about this chapter. I actually really liked it, mostly because Chigiri was super cool in this chapter, but still. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.